These are some of my pictures when I was in 6th grade. Looking at them, I look like any other teenager. Shy, awkward, maybe a bit odd, but overall, a happy and normal kid. But truth is, I wasn't. Beneath my seemingly happy appearance, I was filled with insecurity, self-doubt, and I lacked the motivation to do anything. In my mind, I was a failure and I felt like I was going to stay one forever. But currently, I'm a much better version of who I was 5 years ago, and today, I'll share the story of how I hit rock bottom, and more importantly, how I changed myself. But first, let me give you some context as to who I was. As a child, I was always told by others that I'm a smart kid and that I have a lot of potential. And it was not all baseless praise. In primary school, I graduated with straight A's without putting in much effort. In my class, my teachers constantly gave me extra work because I would always finish faster than my peers. And in my extracurriculars, I would always achieve great results without really paying much attention. With everything I accomplished thus far, my ability and all the compliments and expectations from the people around me, I thought I was special. I thought I was a genius. I walked into secondary school with a mindset that I didn't need to put in effort to succeed. And as anyone who doesn't pay attention in class knows, things rarely go that way. During the first few weeks, I actually did pretty good, which reinforced my belief, but when the new and harder materials were introduced, I struggled. My grades started to plummet. 10s turned to 8s, 8s turned to 7s, 7 into 5s, and before I knew it, I was constantly getting 4s on my worst subjects and 6s for my best. And my descent happened just like that. In my first 2 months of transferring to a new school for my secondary education, I went from being one of the brightest students to the bottom of my class. By the end of the first semester, my highest grade was an 8 in ethics, a subject where everyone is expected to get a 9 or higher, and all my other subjects, except for science and English, were all below average or barely over it. Nothing hits harder than life, and I was not prepared for the hit I took. Failing in school also made me fail in other parts of life. I couldn't keep up with my extra classes, my progress in sports was stagnating, and even when I was playing video games, my favorite pastime, I found myself frustrated more than happy because I would constantly lose. But the tipping point wasn't any of this. It was when my home, my refuge from my troubles and concern, turned into a place of stress. At that time, my parents were under a lot of pressure because of work, and of course, my dwindling performance and grades didn't help. Almost every day, my parents were either scolding at me or getting into heated conversations with one another. I cracked and stopped caring. In my piano and coding classes, I lost my motivation to learn and didn't pay attention. In my private tutoring classes, I would intentionally come to class late and ask for bathroom breaks just to spend as little time learning as possible. Even in activities I used to enjoy, like tennis or football, I would come up with reasons to skip practice. To cope, I started to spend a large portion of my day playing video games. During school, during dinner, at night, you name it. If I had a phone or computer with me, I would play. And to me, it was a vicious cycle. I remember staying up until 1 to 2 in the morning, sometimes pulling an all-nighter to play video games to escape reality. This made my life worse, which I tried to escape by playing even more video games. I ended up sleeping through most of my classes during 6th and 7th grade because I wasn't sleeping enough at home. I almost failed 6th grade. If it weren't for the last-ditch effort from my parents and teachers to force me to learn, I would have been in the 10th grade right now. But that effort didn't matter because none of my problems were solved. I was addicted to video games, I didn't know the fundamentals of the subjects I was learning, and I was not motivated to do anything. When 7th grade came, I was pretty much the same failure. I even got into more trouble and gained notoriety in school when one time, I kicked a glass door and broke it. All that has happened during that year changed me. It made me into a dull, unconfident person. I found it hard to have interesting conversations with anyone, and always doubted if someone has an agenda if they engage in conversations with me. I was so paranoid to a point that I believed my class had a secret group just to shame me. I felt like I've hit rock bottom. I started to question the purpose of life and the purpose of my existence. I thought of leaving home and my parents, but looking back at my failures from the past year, I gave up on it. Soon, I started to consider committing suicide. I remember thinking, I'm such a failure, I can't do anything right, even down to the easiest thing like cracking an egg. I'm a liability for the people around me, and I should die. I still remember nights where I laid on the bed pondering about my life and whether I should end it. There were nights that I would sit on the balcony of my room on the 19th floor, looking down and imagining the sweet release of death. There were nights that I would toss a coin to decide whether I should jump or not. I had no one I felt safe enough to speak to about this. I had no close siblings and no close friends I could talk with. I couldn't even speak with my parents because of the whole Asian stereotype that mental health issues don't exist. I was scared of being scolded at and judged. And in all honesty, I was this close to ending it all. Luckily, the night that I planned to do it, I heard this speech, and to be honest, I would not be here if it weren't for it. If you want to kill yourself, do it. I'm not going to stop you. But know this, the moment you cut yourself with that knife or the moment you jump off that bridge, you'll be forever remembered as a failure. You'll be remembered as someone who has never achieved something of significance and chose death because you were too weak mentally to deal with the things around you. But most importantly, you'll be remembered as a selfish bastard. You chose death to release yourself of pain. But what about the pain you caused to the people around you? Your friends, your relatives, your family. They will all mourn your death. They'll all miss you. So yes, if you want to kill yourself, do it. Just remember, your non-existent legacy, the guilt you make the people you care about feel knowing they could have done more to save you, and the pain that follows them for the rest of their life. It's all on you. This speech came from someone who recently graduated from college that I knew, and when I first heard it, I cried. I don't know what came over me, but I just sat there crying to myself. My suicidal thoughts, my negative emotions were all gone, and to be honest, I felt happy just to be alive. It was on that fateful Saturday night on the 17th of March 2018 that I started to turn a new leaf. The next day, something fundamental in me changed, and for the first time in a year and a half, I felt like doing something other than playing video games. I started to change for the little things. I prepared my stuff for school, I folded my clothes, and I made my bed every day. These might seem like insignificant tasks, but doing them every day gave me a sense of accomplishment. And that's not to say that they are not useful. Making my bed means that no matter how bad a day goes, I can always come home to a neat bed that I made myself. Folding my clothes means that my closet won't be as messy, and preparing my stuff before school gives me peace of mind, knowing that the next day I could just pick up my bag and leave. Doing them made my life easier, and over time, gave me the motivation to do bigger and better things. I started to fix my sleep schedule, I did my homework, I exercised more, I paid attention in class, and I gained confidence and talked to more people. In just over a month, I was a transformed person. For the first time since what seemed like forever, I finally understood what I was being taught. My grades started to pick up. 4s and 5s turned to 7s and 8s, and I even got 9 in certain subjects. And though it was not an astronomically high grade, I felt proud seeing that I have improved. And much like how failing academically caused my downfall, getting better at it improved other parts of my life. I was more social and confident, my skills in sports improved, and I found joy in the little things. Overall, I was living a much more happy and balanced life. At the end of that school year, I got an 8 and above in all subjects and was crowned the most improved students of the class. I even achieved the highest grade for the PET exam in my grade at the time, and I was shy of just 2 points of getting 100%. I was delighted and honestly surprised at what I could achieve in such a short time. Fast forward to today and I'm almost a different person. I'm cheerful, I'm sociable, I'm determined, I'm hardworking, and I'm sufficiently proficient in most things. I got an 8 in IELTS without really practicing, and I got a 10 overall in physics last term. Recently, I even led my own project to donate money to children in Hua Bing affected by COVID. To sign off, I just want to say this. I know what it feels like to hit rock bottom, and I know what it feels like when life doesn't seem worth living. I know what it feels like to struggle and try to improve yourself just to end up failing. And to all the people who are experiencing what I did, hang in there. I know life seems like hell right now, but trust me, it will get better eventually. If possible, find someone you can talk to, even strangers if you trust them, just to get your emotions and thoughts off your chest. It's only when you deal with your emotions and accept that you have to change that you can start to change. And it might seem unnecessary at first, but the little things like cleaning your room and making your bed do really matter. It's only when you can do the small things well that you can move on to the big things. As Jack Ma, a Chinese billionaire and founder of Alibaba, once said, "Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine." I hope my story has been helpful or even inspiring to some, and thank you for listening.